EIGRP summarization in NXOS. In this video, I'm going to show you how we can configure EIGRP summarization in NXOS. The concept of the summarization of EIGRP is explained in the iOS course, in the EIGRP course. Here, I am going to show you only the configuration of the EIGRP summarization in NXOS. Let me to review the concept, and after that we can configure the summarization in NXOS. Look at this scenario. As you can see, we have a switch 1 and also switch 2 connected to each other, and EIGRP is configured between them. After that, switch 1 should advertise these two subnet to the switch 2. Without summarization, switch 1 should advertise two EIGRP update or one EIGRP with two a subnet to the for example switch 2. Okay, this means that double time of the memory usage, double time of the, for example, bandwidth usage and CPU usage should be consumed. But with summarization, we can send only one route instead of using these two update, and this is reducing the consumption of the, for example, bandwidth, memory, and also CPU. 172.16.00/23 is the supernet or summary of these two routes. Okay, let me to show you how we can configure the summarization. First, we should configure this scenario. After that, we can talk about the summarization, starting with the for example switch 1. This is the switch 1, host name switch 1. We have three interfaces: interface ETH21 with the no switch port. After that, IP address is the 10.121. For example, interface ETH21 has the 10.121/24 IP address, then no shutdown. Again, we have ETH22, interface ETH22, no switch port is the first command. IP address, for example, 172.16.01, okay, /24 is the next command, and then no shutdown. After that, interface ETH, for example, 23. The IP address of this interface is 172.16.11/24, then no shutdown. I enabled before this interface as a routed port. You should use the no switch port. Okay, that's it. Show IP interface brief show us that now we have three enabled interface. Let's go to the switch 2. This is switch 2, conf-t, and now host name is the switch 2. After that, interface ETH21. The first command is no switch port. Second command, IP address 10.122/24, then no shutdown. After that, we can check the connectivity with the switch 1 ping 10.121. Okay, after some second we have connectivity. Let's go to configuration of EIGRP. The first command is feature EIGRP. First, we should enable the feature EIGRP, and then we can configure the EIGRP with the router EIGRP tag. Router EIGRP, for example, Arash. Then autonomous system. Autonomous system is 1. Address family IPv4 unicast. Then we should enable EIGRP on all of the interfaces. Interface ETH21, IP, router, EIGRP, Arash. Interface Ethernet 2.2, again IP, router, EIGRP, Arash. And interface Ethernet 2.3, IP, router, EIGRP, Arash. Now we enable the EIGRP on all interfaces. Show IP EIGRP interface brief can show us that we enabled the EIGRP on all interfaces of the switch 1. After that, we should configure the EIGRP on switch 2, because now show IP EIGRP neighbors show us that we don't have any neighbor. Let's go to the NXOS2. In NXOS2, I'm using again first feature EIGRP for enabling the feature of EIGRP, and then router EIGRP, for example, Arash. After that, autonomous system. The autonomous system is 1, address family IPv4 unicast. And finally, we should use interface on the interface ETH21, the command IP router EIGRP Arash. That's it. Do show IP EIGRP interface brief show us that we have ETH21 with the EIGRP enabled on it, and after that IP, for example, show IP EIGRP neighbors show us that we have one neighbor, and that is the switch 1. That's it. Show IP route EIGRP also show us that we received 2 routes from the for example, NXOS 1. Now we can configure the for example, summarization on the EIGRP of switch 1, and we need to NXOS 1 advertise summary route instead of these 2 routes. How we can configure the summarization on EIGRP? It's similar with the iOS. You should configure the command on the, for example, interface, outgoing interface. In this scenario, we should configure this command on the ETH21 because this is the outgoing interface for these 2 update with this command, IP summary address. Okay, IP summary address. Then for EIGRP, then you should mention the tag of EIGRP, and finally the summary prefix and length. Summary prefix and length. Let me to show you. Look at here in the switch 1 interface ETH21 IP summary address for EIGRP Arash. What is the summary? 172.16.00/23. Okay. Also, if you want, you can use the administrative distance. The default value for the summary address is 5, you know, and if you need, you can use the administrative distance option. Also, you know that by default, when you are using the summarization, the subnets don't advertise to the, for example, neighbor. If you need to leak one or more than one subnets to advertise, you can use the leak map, and after leak map, you should use a route map, for example, name. Look at here, leak map, and then you should use a route map name to leak that routes. But here, I'm not going to use the leak map, only IP summary address EIGRP Arash 172.16.00/23. That's it. Look at here, show IP route EIGRP. Okay. In the switch 1, let me show you the show IP route in the switch 1. In switch 1, we have the subnets 172.16.00/24 and 172.16.10/24. And also, after summarization, you can see here that we have a discard route. This is a route to null 0 with the administrative distance of 5. If you need to change the administrative distance of this route, you can configure IP summary address EIGRP, then summary prefix and length, and after that administrative distance. But it's not important in many cases. And after that, you know that we are using this discard route for preventing the loop after summarization or suboptimal forwarding. Now, let me check in the switch 2. In switch 2, show IP route EIGRP can show us that we receive only one route, and this is the summary. And as you can see, we didn't receive the subnets. The config of summarization is so similar with the config of summarization in iOS, in between NXOS and iOS. It's so similar. Here, as you see, we can configure AD of a discard route, and also we can configure leak map with the map name. It's a route map name command. Okay. But here we have a difference. Let me to talk about the difference map name. You know that in the iOS, we can configure 2 types of summarization in EIGRP. The first is auto summary, and the second is manual summary. You know that auto summary is not a good option for today networks. Because of that, in iOS also, we recommend that please don't use the auto summary. Please disable the auto summary. And by default, the auto summary is disabled in recent iOSs. Also, in NXOS, if we want to compare the types of the authentication, the type of the summarization with iOS, we should say that in NXOS, we don't have the auto summary option. In NXOS, we have only the summary, the manual summary option for configuration, and this is good. In iOS, we have auto summary and manual summary, but we should use manual summary. In NXOS, we have only the manual summary, and the command of manual summary is so similar, is same with the command of manual summary in the iOS.